Greetings. I did a little reading for Yule about a month ago here on this channel where I used the deck that was relatively new to me called the Green Witch Tarot. Um, I can't remember. I know I received it as a gift. I think I received it as a gift. So I might have got it for my birthday last year. I'm not even sure. But I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it. I liked it and had looked through it a little bit, but I hadn't really put a lot of time into it. So at Yule, I thought I would do a little reading with it at Yule, and I did, and I enjoyed the reading very much. I enjoyed working with the cards. But so anyway, I had determined recently that I was going to spend a little more time with the deck. Do a little now that the holidays are over and everything. I have a little more time. I thought I would really get into this deck because I liked it and to see what was going on with the deck, what I really wanted to say about it. And I don't know why I neglected this firstly to mention it. But anyway, you know how I feel about the books, and this is a pretty good book. Actually, it's a really good book. I don't mean pretty good book involved that was included in the deck. Um, a good unit. It's much improved over the little white books of the past. So many publishers are getting away from that. Artists, writers of decks are getting away from that. I like it a lot because there is like a full page, at least a page and a half usually, of dialogue about each card. Um, and I liked it. I like it. I liked what it had to say about the cards, but I wasn't giving it enough thought. And what I want to say today is, if you have this deck or you're thinking of buying this deck, I want to talk to you a little bit about it first because first of all, it's called the Green Witch Tarot. The Green Witch Tarot, which this is really funny, by the way. I'm going to show you because I noticed this. When I was looking around at other people doing walkthroughs and stuff of the deck. Um, it's a Green Witch Tarot and it's in a green box, and the book is blue. I don't know if you can see that. This the reason I brought it up is my husband he was helping me set up my camera, and he said the book is blue and the box is green. And the reason I laughed is because I've seen people, it drives them mad. It drives them mad that the book is not the same color as the box. And I think that's kind of funny. So I just thought I'd mention it because it is unusual, isn't it? I have stuff all over. I have my stuff all over the floor here because I have a light up here on my table, which is kind of annoying me. You can see the little stubby of it. Sorry about that. My light. I'm always struggling with my lighting in here. I don't know what I'm doing, but especially on these dark days, in California, we're so dependent on a nice bright sun that when we don't have the nice bright sun, we go crazy. we don't know how to act. Okay. Anyway, what I want to say about the deck. When people see people that are interested in tarot already, or especially people new to tarot, will see a deck called something like the Green Witch Tarot Companion or the Green Witch Tarot, and they get all excited because they go, the Green Witch. Well, I want to be a witch, or I'm a witch. I'll probably like that. I probably really like the deck. It's probably really cool. And when they see the walkthrough of it, and when people just show the cards are beautiful, and I think it inspires a lot of people to get the deck. And I'm glad. I mean, it should be purchased. It's a lovely deck. I'm happy to endorse the deck, but I'm never asked. But anyway, I'm happy to. But I want to say, the more I think about it, the more I want to say, if you are not a witch or you are not aware of some of the principles of Wicca, for instance, or pagan spiritual practices, it might be the book. It might be confusing. What the book is talking about might be confusing, and I always recommend people to go and read about it, read about the book, read about the deck, and see what's going on. It might be a little bit. Parts of it might be a little confusing. The reason I say that is this is one of those decks where the themselves is particularly, well, mainly the major arcana, are named rather than the your um, your traditional names for the major arcana cards, such as the Fool and the Magician, and what do we usually have? The Fool, the Magician, the um, whatever things going on, the Emperor, whatever. We have names. We find names like the Green Man and the Witch and the the She and the a lot of different names. Okay. Now that we find that commonly in other kind of decks as well. We find that's very, very common. That's a common practice. It's the author taking license and creative license, and I think it's fine. It's interesting. Why not? But in this case, what I want to say is this author is sincere in what her um, the dialogue that she offers about the card, the meaning behind the art and work in the card, or how she is seeing each of these cards, and the major arcana particularly, um, are based on her knowledge of witchcraft. And remember, I said this was when I told you when I did the reading the last time. And Mora is she's the author of the book that I have recommended on here. I don't know how many times, the Grimoire of the Green Witch. That's one thing she's written. She's written quite a few books. They're probably listed in here. Yeah, yeah. Grimoire for the Green Witch is the one I talk about. But she has all kinds of books on witchcraft that are listed in the front of this book, and you can find anywhere. But so she's a very knowledgeable witch. She's very knowledgeable. She's a practitioner, and as a green witch. So her take on the major arcana is very much associated with her beliefs as a witch. So it could be a little bit confusing for people who don't know what that is about, first of all. And second of all, you might say, well, does it matter to me? I can still read the cards like I do a traditional Rider-Waite major arcana. Yes, you can do that. You can do that. As long as you know the Green Man is the Fool. And if you want to read it as the Fool, your traditional meanings of a Fool, how you take a Fool card, or the Witch as the Magician, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. But my point today is I think you're missing something if you don't at least attempt to incorporate um, some of the characteristics of the artist's this card and this deck to your reading. If you just only look at the Green Man card as the Fool, you're missing a deeper meaning, a little more color adding to the meaning, a little nuance to particular to this deck, which makes your reading, first of all, it makes your reading very interesting, but second of all, it adds, I think, to your knowledge of the tarot as well. I've said that before. The more you look into different decks and how they see different cards, it adds to your knowledge of the tarot overall, because you're just accumulating more and more knowledge, more and more understanding about each card. It's like getting to know a friend. When you get to know a friend, first, you might get to know them in art class. So you get to know them as an artist. Then you get to know them chatting over coffee during your break. So you get to know a little bit about their personal life, just maybe their family, or what they think about art or whatever. You get more and more involved with them. You see them in different places and in different situations. You get to know them better and better and see more layers of what they are all about. That happens with the tarot too. When you start to get into more and more decks, if you take the time to look into with the as long as you can, as long as it's the same kind of in the same general ballpark, the meaning, it's not some wild, weird, off the wall kind of a meaning for the cards. You see, it really adds to your understanding. Okay, so what I wanted to do today, I'm trying to do this without making it too long a video, but I just wanted to show you what I mean. I want to go through just the major arcana cards, and I hope you like this video, because I after shuffling and shuffling and shuffling these cards to get them well mixed, I just now had to take out the major arcana, so I've got to start all over again. I hate to order my cards anyway, because it affects the shuffle. So now I'm going to have to go back when I'm done with the video and get them back in order so I can do some readings with them. But I want to just go through the cards really quickly, in a quick way, to just show you what I mean by a little bit of a nuance, a little different kind of a nuance with the cards, according to Anne Mora, who wrote this deck. Okay. And also, hopefully, you can see some of the beauty of the artwork, which I think are really incredible. Very nice. Very nicely done. And I want to say the artwork, the name of the artist, Carrie Ostergaard Leonard. Carrie Ostergaard Leonard. Beautiful art in the cards. They don't photograph too well, like most of these cards that are artistic. They don't really photograph too well in my lighting. Some of them are kind of dark, but you'll at least get to meeting. We're talking about the meeting today anyway. Okay, so I'm going to just change the camera and just try to go through the major arcana quickly and just sort of give you a little idea of where the author was coming from in this deck. I've already alluded to the fact that the green man is used here in the position, the first card of the major arcana, where we normally see the full card, and it's still pretty much is representative. The meanings are pretty much the same. The idea of something new or adventure, some new adventure. But because it's a green man, you know, the ancient symbol for the uh, to represent the fertility of spring in pagan cultures, pagan civilizations, all about vegetation, all about being coming up, and here as it relates to the Sabbath of Ostar, which is at the equinox when spring is full bloom, when everything is full bloom and growing. It talks about not just the growth and the new growth and a potentially some kind of a new adventure and the hope that goes along with it, but it also carries with it an additional caution, if you will, which is this energy is sort of the energy that is coming forth at this time is something that we can't. It's random. It's almost random because it's chaotic. It's something that isn't really. We're not ever sure in the spring. What comes new from what has happened what has gone in the past, has been in the ground and resurfaced, what is resurfacing in the spring, what direction our garden, let's look at the garden, our garden is going to take, what direction our lives are going to take based on what has gone in the past. This is some new adventure, something new. Is stepping out into a new way. And there's always that chance, right? There's always the chance that things would go wrong. Remember in the Rider-Waite, the young man stepping off, maybe he's taking a step off, is he going to fall off the cliff? Who knows what's on the other side? And it's interesting, the little dog that was cautioning him or at his heels, the little dog is also here present in this card. It's a little white dog. I don't know if you can see it. But here the little white dog is supposed to be encouraging and helping, you know, and but it talks about, you know, the caution in the card directing the energy, not just stepping forth and going in a random direction, but choosing a direction and taking a path, choosing the path which you're going to go. Once you take that step, you cannot untake the step. Okay, whether or not you've chosen the right direction or not, you've gone in that direction and see what comes of it. Okay. Okay, the second card I've also mentioned is that of the witch. And this is very, very similar to the magician. Nothing new here either, other than the title. She uses her tools. She has her tools all at hand here, and she's using her tools. She's controlling her destiny responsibly because she's using her expertise. Excuse me. What skills has she acquired as a witch? And she has the tools at her hand. She has confidence. She's able to communicate, and she's able to direct her energy toward whatever goal it has. So it's just a practical use. It's very practical. It's not like, excuse me, not only making sure that she's using her tools, but the fact that she has more than just the tools at hand. She has what's internal in her, the confidence in her, the sense of responsibility, the ability to communicate what she wants, that also go in hand with the tools. that a magician would have. Okay. We have a high priestess card, number 2, which is still called the high priestess card. Nothing new there. She's performing a ritual here of drawing down the moon, which is commonly done in Wicca, during Wicca rituals in Wicca, where she's understanding that she's having direct contact with the goddess, and she is trusting her intuition that she receives from that communication, direct communication, that link she has with the goddess. That's a gift that she receives, and she uses um, that intuition to choose the correct path that she's following. What happens to her along the way, she's using that connection that she has to manifest any outcome that she wishes. Okay. Then we have, in place of the Empress card, we have what we call the Earth Mother, which you can see she's pregnant as well. Pregnant, as the Empress card usually very often is. Um, so the Earth Mother is not just this. She's the same as what we normally see as the Empress, but not only does she have this abundance, the abundance around her and the fertility within her, but she also holds the promise of the renewal of life. It's not just, it's because she holds within Wicca, she's holding within her the unborn God, the life that is coming forth after the God has died. She holds the seed which comes forth again. So it's a continual process. It's not just right now in any point in time. This represents very much the continual process of life and seasons. Okay, which is going to come up later, also in the and some of the other cards. The horned god, of course, representing the emperor, and he not only is the protector like we see normally, the guardian, but he's built his domain. He's very proud of it. He's proud of it. He has built it, and he protects it. But he represents that changing season as the horn god, who we will see come up again as that god um, who will die and be reborn again through the earth goddess, through the earth mother. Okay. Instead of the Hierophant, we have the High Priest, and there's just the tiniest difference in this one I see. They both have about a kind of tradition and organization, but this relates to a little bit. This is where I really got the idea also that a knowledge of Wicca is not a bad thing for people to get this deck, or if it's where we're talking about during a ritual, during a Wiccan ritual, we have both the role of the High Priests and the High Priestess at any given time, and I mean both taking part together in the ritual, and the high priest having that power over there, but also that partnership, that tradition and organization is what is something that happens over and over again, like with a coven. Okay, like with a coven, or like with, well, I guess just any kind of a Wiccan ritual following that tradition. um, um, And again, in the book that Anne Morrow published, that I have recommended a couple times, The Green Witch, you can see, if you have that book, you can see the instances and the role that the high priest plays along with in that book. It's that it says deviation from that can be dangerous. Deviation can be disruption in a spiritual manner. So there's always a certain way and always a certain um, order that takes place, just like in a church. Same kind of thing in a church. Okay. The lovers here is represented by the Lady and the Lord, so that would be the Lady and the Lord together. We would have the High Priest. I mean the Horn God and the Earth Mother, Lady and Lord together. Excuse me. Um, and this is sort of interesting because a lot of times we see the lover card as wanting a balance, something that we want to have balance, some kind of a choice being made. But here in the Lady and the Lord, it's talking about rather than the choice being made, the emphasis is on that balance, on the harmony between the two. It says that the choices in life requires a clear idea of priorities. Decisions have to be made, okay? And if you don't make this decision, somebody's going to make the decision. That's what goes along with it. So the idea of finding balance, finding a harmony, working together to make a choice. Okay, that whole idea is kind of interesting. Battle Wagon is the chariot. Not too much different from that, but it's a lovely card. The one thing that's different I noticed right away is the horses are the same color, which we usually see a black one and a white one or something like that. Um, what is the same in a lot of them is there is no reins on these horses. All the power, he has all the power to direct the horses where he wants to go without using reins, which is kind of neat. So it's a personal achievement. He has the power to control. Okay. Now, this is where we get into, this is one of my favorite cards, and I showed you this card before, the Crone. The Crone is the strength card in this deck. And the Crone is, that's the goddess in the aspect of the Crone, or the wise woman. She walks in the light of knowledge and experience. Yes, it's about the inner strength, yes, but the strength that she has is a result of all of the experiences that she's had. Building confidence, building wisdom in her. And also the idea that it is there always. It's never used up. It can be tapped in whenever it's needed, which I really love that. This is kind of the first time that I've ever heard that um, that uh, that concept in this card, in the strength card. We hear inner strength all the time, but that idea that it's just always there. I guess it's implied, but it was really well worded in here, and I really like that, and I'm going to carry that with me for sure. Now, this is another place that we really deviate, and this is what I want to talk to you about. In here, instead of the Hermit card, it has the Holly King, which is, of course, the Holly King. I don't know if I've ever showed you, but I have the Holly King and the Oak King on my. We have them on our altar candles in the guide candle. Where you turn it half of the year is the of course the Holly King, of course, representing the light half of the year, and which he is then the sage god at Yule, who turns over his hourglass of wisdom to the newborn Oak King. Okay. Um, where he offers his gifts and knowledge, his gifts of knowledge and experience, he passes on with the lantern of life. But this is the thing I love so much about this card. His lantern is going to light the way for others rather than lighting the way for himself, which we normally see, the hermit looking down. Is he going to go? Is it time for him to return? He's looking down, sometimes maybe from the edge, from the top of the hill wherever he is, the mountain where he is, going to make his way down, perhaps, um, but he's lighting his way. He's using the lantern to light his way. Here, the Holly King is using his lantern to light the way of others. He's offering his experience. He's offering the light for the Oak King who's coming now, newborn at Yule. But the journey that the Oak King is going to be making is his own. The journey that he offers help for when he lights your way is your own journey. You're responsible for your own journey. Other people can show you the way. Other people can you can gain through other people's experience, but the journey is your own. And that is what's going to lead to the wisdom that you can help light the way for others. So I really like that. I like that, this cyclical feeling again. Number 10 is the Wheel of the Year, which is very similar to the Wheel of Fortune. But the emphasis here, of course, is it's always in motion, so change is inevitable. And we do see normally with the Wheel of Fortune about change. There's always some up downs, and it's usually some kind of a change coming in the light. And here we have the transition, of course, from dark to light, suggesting things are going to improve a little bit. Because it's pointing here to Yule, which is the Wheel of the Year. But what I like so much about this is it's constant moving. The wheel, talking about this wheel, when we think about the Wheel of Fortune, it's like the Wheel of Fortune, something causes it to spin, almost like chance. It feels like almost a chance change, oh, circumstances change. No, the circumstances always change. Well, here it is a change, but it is a constant change, and I talk about this all the time. You might be able to see this. You probably cannot, but there's the wheel of the year is divided, of course, into the 8 Sabbaths. And I've said this many, many times. It is Yule from here to here, and then it is Imbolc here, clear to here, and then it's a very gradual change around the wheel. It's not this spot, this spot, this spot, not the center of the wheel. It gradually changes. It is a constant change rather than, oh, stuff happens. Something happened to cause a change. No, this is just a constant change. It's always in motion. Things are always changing. If you receive bad news, your moment of receiving the bad news is over as soon as you receive it, and then you're into dealing with the bad news. But the same is true when you go into the light, when you're going towards the light. When you get good news, it's great news. Oh, this is great news. But the moment of receiving the great news is over. You're dealing with the great news, but it's changing. The great news is not going to be there forever. It's going to change. Okay, the news will be different. Here we have the standing stone in place of the justice card. There's a lot of symbolism here, and there's a lot of beauty and nature and things in here, which I know you cannot see. You have to get the deck if you really want to see the details, but they're really beautiful. But it talks about there's some kind of, it talks about the law of return. Where there's law, there's also the law of return. So when it's about karma, it's about the actions achieved. There's always retribution by the actions of others um, who carry out their decision and return the scales to balance. You have to trust. You have to trust. Everything that everybody does is an action that affects others. And you have to trust that whatever action is, there will be a result of the action. For every action is a reaction, right? And trust. So trust in the law of balance. Trust in your decision. Trust in the fairness, because it will work out. It should work out in the end, as long as you're making the proper decision and doing things what you should and making rational and good decisions. Things should work out. So that whole idea of things balance things. People who may have actions that hurt others, that whole idea of karma, something coming back. Whether it's karma or not is not important. It's that whole idea of going back into balance, going back into um, uh, the law of returns. Okay, the law and the law of returns. Now here I am in the Oak King. The Oak King was who was born new at Yule time. Excuse me. Now is the Hanged Man. Now we're referring to the Hanged Man. And this, a lot of people don't like this card because it looks like he's stuck on here like a Velcro king stuck on here. He's not really, you don't see anything wrapping around his foot, but it's a nice card. But it shows that he's there intentionally. He's just moving through the seasons. He's just there to meditate. He's thinking what he needs to be, what does he need to release to make room for what he needs to bring in, and what should he keep. It's just a time of consciousness when the consciousness and the subconscious can communicate with each other, discovering what is desired and what is no longer necessary in life. It's just that time of taking stock. Okay. And that's what happens when the new king comes in, right? He's taking stock. He's still achieving. He's thinking where he's going to go. He's thinking where he's going to go. The experiences are ahead of him, not behind him, as we saw with the Holly King. Okay, we have this one. I really see a little bit of a difference in this one that I wanted to bring up. This is the Lord of Shadows, which is the death card in this deck. And yes, they both talk about changes, some kind of a change, an abrupt change, some kind of the end of something. But rather than this being the end of something, in a lot of the versions of the Rider-Waite card, you see, you see death riding in on a big horse, and the old king laying dead on the ground, right? There's that death, and people were like, "It's the king is dead, long live the king." This is so that was really about the end and the beginning, but this one is all about that moving from a place of shadow, like the place of death, into the light. This is the moving. It's the constant um, clearing away. It's a necessary clearing away of obstacles to achieve something new, to achieve something, a new situation, getting rid of the old to get rid of the new, rather than just seeing something ending and then moving forward. This is the necessity of things ending so that you can move forward. Okay. Moving from that shadow, getting that shadow by going into the light. It's that the transformation. And here we see the butterfly. That is the importance in this card. Okay. This is another card that's also different. Instead of temperance, we're seeing the she, which of course is representing the fairy folk. And this is still about balance and things, but this is about balance, um, about the in between the worlds of the fae and the physical world and the magical world, the psychic realm, um, and it talks about sort of a little bit what I was talking about when I was talking about alchemy the other day. How I said that in order to you need to be inspired, you need to be the inspiration. When I said that you needed to somebody who is creative and does makes their own bone broth or makes their own grows a garden or does art or something like that, who is very creative, their mind is open. Their mind is more open. They have more experiences. They see the magic around them and then be able to do more. And this is about being inspired by the fairy folk, by inspired this communication between this world and the underworld, the communication between the people and being able to communicate with others, with the fairies, with the she. Okay, so that you can be inspired to bring new ideas into your into your reality. Okay, to trust intuition. This is when you start to trust intuition, when you communicate in your it's the physical world and the psychic world, right? The combination of those two worlds is when you start to have intuition, and when you trust that intuition is when you start to move forward. So it's this whole idea of balancing, not just balancing, but balancing between the worlds. Okay. We have nature as the devil. I'm sorry this is such a dark card because it's hard to see what it is, but here we have it's a man in the forest. He's setting a bear trap on the ground, and he's so intent on setting up his trap, he doesn't notice that there's a bear right behind him looking over his shoulder. Okay. And this card says the path chosen may be joyful and unrestricted, or it may be fraught with dangers that you cannot see. Every choice has a consequence. Okay. Short term goals that require personal sacrifice are not always the best. He's so focused on this little is one thing. He doesn't see, first of all, the bear. He doesn't see anything going on around him, and he doesn't see. Here's these are fawns, I think, in the background. Goat people, whatever you call those creatures, part goat, part man, dancing and frolicking behind him in the thing. Okay. It's about choosing the path. It's the devil, not, and we see that in the Rider-Waite, this tie, this, being bound to, we think a lot of times as things that are addictive, being addicted, we could be addicted to whatever, um, to not see what should be seen, possibly because where our focus is so narrow. And that's sort of what it is. His focus is on the bear trap, and there's the bear right behind him. Okay. I was particularly interested in this card, the Tower card, which is number 16, represented in this deck by the Wild Hunt. And I'm going to actually do my video, I think next week, is going to be doing a reading based on this, because this is my card. Remember, I said the Tower is for my card of the year. And I really love this. This is depicted by the Wild Hunt. If you know about the Wild Hunt, that's the god hunter traveling in the sky at night in the form of thunder and lightning and wind and dark clouds, gathering everything that is no longer is Bible on their way to the underworld to take it with them. So things clearing it out, giving the opportunity to casting off what we don't need, what restricts us to live a full life, um, to open a way for some kind of change. It's a renewal of hope, which this is a very interesting take on this card, and I can't wait to read about this next week because we usually see the tarot card as something really negative. And here I see it. Here the keywords for this are the illumination, the truth is revealed, the end of illusions. The end of illusions is like a clearing card, which I really want to see how that plays out in my month, with this tower. Similarly named, as we see in the Rider-Waite decks, we have the star, first of all, the star and the moon and the sun coming up. The meanings are somewhat the same, not too much difference, but the star here is one thing it says the prospects are excellent for making a change in one's life. It's about moving in a direction, but it says one thing that I really love about this, because it is the light at the end of the tunnel, just like we say all the time, and it's a beautiful bright star. But one thing it says here is this is something that gives time on, and not a lot of tarot decks offer things like time. People want to know, oh, how long is it going to be? Or, they ask really specific questions like this. And I was really interested in this card because this card offers the idea that whatever you're thinking of doing, action should not be delayed because it shouldn't be any longer than necessary because you just don't know when this is going to happen again. This opportunity is here now. Opportunity is here now, but how long is it going to be here? So taking advantage of things in a timely manner, which I really like that. That's kind of a new layer to what I think about the star card. Again, the moon card talks all the time about being deceived and being mistaken and not being able to see clearly in the moonlight, which is true. But in this one, it says the reflection of the moon can be deceiving. So look to the moon itself to know the reality. Look to use what you have. Look to the moon. Look into intuition. Look into psychic dreams. Look into visions. Okay, rather than just looking at the reflection, look around you. Look to the moon itself. I really like that. Trusting in your own instincts can be beneficial. Looking beneath the surface. Trust in you. You know you have the answer within you. You don't have to look around you. Here, the sun, very typical as a Rider-Waite, meaning, but the emphasis here is it's not just happy days or here again. Oh my goodness. This is just not satisfaction. It's satisfaction from a job well done. Nothing is given. Nothing is easy. Everything that you are enjoying is because of the work that you have put into it and the effort you put into it. Okay. Happiness that is earned. Wealth that is earned. Okay. Through hard work, through sacrifice, it is earned. It is the satisfaction at the end of a journey, the accumulation of your efforts. And we see in number 20, instead of the judgment card, we see the harvest card, which I think is so interesting. Because this is, again, reaping the rewards of what you have done, but it also, any kind of past action, it's the time to atone for any kind of past action, And this is the time, what you have sown is what you reap. And it goes together with any wrongs you have done must be righted. This is the time for that to happen. And finally, the World Tree. And this is a beautiful card. A lot of symbolism here. We see the the idea of the snakes and shedding its skin and getting a new life. As above, so below is in here. It's the end of an era and the beginning of the next. And it's good endings and good beginnings. It is hope. It is optimism. It is change. The change is a part of life represented here in the tree. Ever changing, ever growing. Okay. As the tree grows taller, the roots spread further, right? Okay. It's not just the end. It's not just job well done. It's end. It's turning over. It's ready to turn over. Seasons change. Oops. The season changes and we begin again. I don't know if that was helpful for you or not. I don't normally do this kind of a video where I really look to do much of a walkthrough of the cards. But in this case, I thought it was kind of important. I really resonate with this deck, and I'm probably going to use it, pretty frequently, at least for a while. And I didn't want to use it, influence you in a way if this is not going to be a deck that works for you. It would help you a lot if this would be a really great deck if you are somebody who is following along the same path as I'm on, in the fact that you're delving into Wicca, or um, you were reading some of Anne Mora's other books. They will help you a lot understand where she's coming from in the deck. Again, can you read it just like a regular Rider-Waite style deck? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But like I said, you're sort of missing a little layer of flavor if you are only doing that. Okay. The minor arcana, I think you see, is pretty much, it's pretty much, there's going to be differences. There's going to be some differences in the card, like there always is. But the major arcana, I bring it up because the major arcana is the major arcana. It's the that's the big things in life. So, in order, if we're trying to understand the big things that are happening in our lives, I think it's really important, to go in and see, you try to give it every chance of understanding. So we really want to look into the author's intentions, because when we're dealing these cards, those are the energies that are coming up for us. Those are the initial energies being put into the cards. Yes, we're adding cards as we shuffle and put our intention into the reading, but they originally came from who? In this case, Anne Mora and Carrie Ostergaard Leonard, who was the artist. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.